Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course, and we're pleased to be joined by Mark Wasikowski, of course, the head baseball coach at Oregon. Of course, they're getting ready for their start their NCAA tournament run, taking on Michigan. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you, Casey?
I'm doing amazing. Of course, getting ready to go for an opponent. Just go in and talk about overall how has your season been for you guys?
Well, it's been good enough to get into the field of 64, which is, the objective right now is to win that thing. And so, you can only do that one day at a time. We're 0-0 right now. We liked our season. There were parts of it that were fantastic. There were parts of it that, are things that you wish you could get back to do differently. And yet, really, all that kind of stuff is just reflections of the past. We'll try to use all that stuff to advantage, to give us an advantage, but not really spend a whole lot of time on that. There's too much to do moving forward.
So going into this game with Michigan, I don't know how much you saw of the Big Ten tournament, but what are your overall first impressions of them?
Well, I lived the Big Ten tournament. I know what that's all about. I did watch the Big Ten tournament. I did watch Coach Bakish's team pull off a really good double squeeze in the semifinals game. I really did. I watched the tournament now, not in its entirety, because, I'm flipping around between other tournaments, the Pac-12 tournament and the SEC. And I'm just a baseball kind of a junkie. So I like watching these tournaments. I think they're awesome. But for Coach Bakish's team to get into the tournament and then win that thing to earn the right to be in this regional is tremendous. And so when you get a team that's playing that well and they're hot, they're dangerous and they've got some guys that can really swing it.
Of course, you were in this conference. Of course, you were before you went to Oregon. You were of course the head baseball coach at Purdue. So you kind of know what this conference is like. What's it like does that help you know that you've coached against Coach Bakich so many times?
I don't know. That guy's had some great program. He's got a great program and he's had some really, really good teams. And so does it help you? It makes you more familiar with who Coach Bakich is and know that he's good and that his program's going to be good. Okay,
so let's talk about what to expect from your team. Who has overall impressed you this season for people that may not have followed the regular season, but for people that just like to watch this tournament, who has been impressive on the Ducks? Who's kind of stood out to you? I know everyone stood out, but there obviously some guys have stepped up more than others.
Yeah, that's a good question. Anthony Hall, our right fielder, is a guy that's had some really good power numbers for us this year. He can hit the ball a long ways, and he's kind of a Big Ten type of a guy. He's just a big left-hand hitting guy that can get the ball up in the air and really swing the bat. He's got a lot of power in his bat. He's put up some big numbers. He's a big draft prospect for us. So is Josh Kasevich, our shortstop. Not really a power type guy, but a really smooth shortstop, really good arm. One of the best, if not the best shortstop on the West Coast is Josh. Those two guys have had very, very good seasons. The first team all Pac-12 designated hitter was our DH, and that's Brendan Malone. He was a bounce back from South Carolina. He went out there, and he's from Georgia originally, the state of Georgia, went to South Carolina, and was a highly rated prospect coming out of high school. And, we got him coming out of South Carolina, and he ends up being one heck of a hitter for us. So those three guys are really three guys that are having tremendous years for the Ducks.
Yeah, for sure. Going into this tournament, what have you kind of talked to the guys of? I know it's like the survive and advance, but what are some of the little things that you guys had to do to get to where you need to go?
Well, in the Pac-12, it's not an easy league. And, all the way up to the last week of the year, there wasn't a single team in the Pac-12 that was had an RPI higher than 100. And so the whole league was good. Anybody in the league could beat you. You didn't have any easy, okay, hey, we got this team this weekend. We'll be fine. We'll win 3 this weekend and we'll be able to save our pitching or something. That wasn't the Pac-12 this year. Stanford was the best team. They won our league. And Stanford was a team that we were able to beat 2 out of 3 when we went to Stanford. And quite candidly, we could have swept them that weekend. It was an interesting year this year in the Pac-12, though, Casey, because, it seemed like every weekend, if you swept a team, you could sit back and go, wow, we swept those guys, and we might have been able to get swept as well that same weekend if we didn't just get a couple of clutch things that showed up. And so it was just so tight. The league's good. Oregon State's got a good team. Stanford's got a good team. Arizona and UCLA. UCLA's got a ton of really good quality arms that are fantastic. And then I think nationally, you guys saw the slugfest between them and Oregon State, where it got out of control with a hard desert floor and a lot of heat and just a lot of offense. But there's 5 teams in the Pac-12 that made this tournament. They're all really good. I could see them all advancing. And then, but the key in this tournament is you got to be playing your best, or else you're not going to advance. You're going to go home.
Talk about pitching for a second. How is that going, and what improvements do you need to see there?
Well, I mean, we don't do a traditional setup when it comes to our pitching. We don't roll out, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday starter and just roll them out there for 6, 7, 8, 9 innings. I mean, we'd love to, but we just don't. We've got a lot of guys that have good quality arms that more are like opener, small inning totals guys. And so what we do is we bring a guy in, we start a guy as an opener, we'll pitch him for 2 to 4 innings, and we'll bring the next guy in throughout the pitching staff. Got a bunch of good arms, a bunch of guys that are guys that are more like reliever types, like I kind of said. And we've just figured out that the best way to use those guys is in small stints. And so that's how we do it.
You think that's an interesting approach. I know the Tampa Bay Rays have known for their approach when it comes to pitching. What made you kind of take that approach a little bit?
Necessity. We went to Oregon State. We got beat in a series where we lost 3 games. They were all really close, but we just weren't matching up with a traditional Friday, Saturday, Sunday deal, and we just said, well, you got to have the courage to make some adjustments in the year, even if that, those adjustments sunk you. And we were at a tipping point. We were at a place where we're like, hey, we've seen this long enough. We know who we are if we just continue to try to be traditional. And so, we're either going to stick our neck out and it's going to kill us and sink our season, or we're going to stick our neck out and we're going to do this and it could save our season. And so what happened was, as soon as that happened, we went on the road to Arizona State. We beat them 2 out of 3 at Arizona State. We came home. We beat Gonzaga. At that time, I think they were ranked 9th or 10th. And then we swept Arizona. And so that was our last stretch leading into postseason play, which was fantastic. And for our guys to be able to pull that together, and they pitched really, really well during that stretch. You just saw guys get really comfortable, and we weren't asking them to do too much. And so really, that was the only adjustment. I credit my pitching coach, Jake Angier, is the one who had the idea. And I kind of looked at him cross-eyed, and I just went, holy cow, that's a major deal. These guys mentally are going to be able to need to handle it first and foremost. And they're going to need to understand that we're doing this because we do trust them. And it could be viewed the other way, to where, if you start turning the tables upside down, they could feel like, holy cow, what, are they quitting on us? And we didn't want that to happen. And Coach Angier did a great job of making sure that the emotions were right and the message was right. And he had those guys well trained.
Yeah, for sure. This is a pretty tough regional. Of course, you're down in Louisville, Kentucky as we speak. Going into this, what's the? I know we talked about this, but what's the biggest thing that this you guys need to do to advance on to the next round?
Play better than the other 3 teams. Real simple. Play better than the other 3 teams. The team that plays baseball the best, this regional, is going to win it. Dan McDonald's had a program that's been just stupid good for a long time. Coming out of the Midwest, you just know when you're coaching in the Midwest specifically, and there's a good recruit that you find, you know that he's either committed to Louisville or, darn it, they're probably a day away from learning about who this guy is because they're that good. Dan's had the best program in the Midwest, and Dan's done a great job. And so now we're here on his turf. He's probably, rubbing his hands going, all right, I get these guys all at my park. But, the key for us is just to play great baseball. SEMO's a school that I'm familiar with. I cut my teeth at SEMO with Mark Hogan as the head coach. I was there for 2 years, way back in the 90s, before all these guys were even alive that I'm coaching. But still yet, I'm very familiar with the teams in the regional, very familiar with the landscape of the regional. And even my daughter gets a chance to drive down. She goes to school at Purdue still, and she's in the pharmacy school there. So she'll drive down and she'll get a chance to watch the Ducks play kind of on her home turf. So in a way, I'm going to somehow trick myself to think it's a home game.
Yeah. Well, Waz, good luck out there, and thanks for coming on, and good luck against Michigan.
Hey, I appreciate it, Casey. Go Ducks.